Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming back to the show my good friend, Shari Shattuck. She's coming back on the show. She was here about 3 months ago or so, just before quarantine started, as a matter of fact. I'm having her back on the show today to talk about her new book that's been out for the last month. It's called Twins, not related to the Danny DeVito Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. It has to do, I guess, with two children who are twins, based on the description I see on Amazon Prime with the cover of the book and so forth. And I can't wait to have her back on. She is such a lovely person. Yesterday I talked to Graydon Clark on the show, and he told me what a lovely person she is as well. And I guess everybody loves Shari, and they have an absolute right to, because, like I said, she's an awesome person. So yeah, here is my new interview with Shari Shattuck.
Well, hello.
Welcome back, Shari. How are you today?
Good. Well, we're good. We're actually on our way to march in a protest in Port Townsend, which is near us. Very peaceful, very cool town. So, but, you want to stand up for things. So I'm in the car. Sorry about that.
That's okay. How long is it going to take for you to get there?
Probably another half hour.
Okay, that's perfect.
Nothing near us.
Oh, how are you holding up in this clusterfuck we are in?
Oh, my God. You know what? So grateful. So much better than most people. We live in a beautiful place. I have a gorgeous garden there. We can walk, we can breathe, we can go outside. I can't even imagine what it's like, people stuck in some tiny apartment in the inner city, Mm-hmm. I should feel horrible for them. Because it's depressing. It's really, really sad to see all these things going on right now. It's hard to keep your spirits up. So I kind of focused on that, trying to be supportive and help people stay positive and get through things. And that helps a lot. If you can empower yourself in some way, like what we're doing today, then it takes away a lot of that helplessness and rage,
Yeah, I think it's starting to get better a little bit, and people are starting to become a little bit more humble because, after 9/11, just everyone became selfish and greedy and mean-spirited.
Yes. Well, we've been on that path for a while, that America first, which really translates to me first. As long as it doesn't affect me, I don't care. Well, there's no way a country of 330 million or a world of 7 billion is going to survive like that. It's not going to, history shows you that again and again and again,
Yeah.
So we've got to be a little more aware, not just of our own needs, but of, everyone else's. And that's just love and compassion. That's whatever you want to call it. Those are supposed to be Christian values. They're Buddhist values. I just think they're good human values. Have empathy. Have compassion. Very simple,
Exactly, yes. Yeah. And last time we talked, it was 1 week before quarantine started.
Yes, our timing is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun for me releasing a book, right, literally, like with the quarantine hit and now this. And, so the book's pretty much going to pass away because there's just no way I can go on and go, hey, read my little book right now, while other stuff is going on. Obviously, with my books, I always include a whole bunch of, look, the point of writing a book, especially one that's relatively socially conscious, is to show people empathy, it enables you to walk in someone else's shoes, to feel for someone that you wouldn't normally feel for, which is why people who read a lot have a much higher level of empathy and compassion than people who don't. So, you hope to do a little bit of good with everything that you do, just like you. Every time we do an interview, you say something. You bring people into the conversation. These things are important. On the other hand, promoting it right now is just not been real easy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. I've been told the LA riots are pretty scary right now.
Yeah, well, I was there for the riots when Rodney King.
Oh, yeah.
And I lived in Los Feliz, which is literally straight up from downtown. My house was exactly between the observatory behind me and downtown LA. And that day, we watched the crowds coming up from Off Avenue, blowing up buildings as they came. Like there would all of a sudden there'd be something and then black smoke filling the sky. And then a few blocks later, another building would go up. So it was a very nerve-wracking day because we didn't know where they'd stop, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just so frightening to watch everyone, their businesses go up in flames and all of that. So, it was awful. So,
Yeah.
I understand people's rage, but, it's just really hard. I'm a big supporter of the police, too. I work with a lot of police. I work with a lot of sheriffs for charity events. These are, the majority of them are good people with a really good social consciousness. It's just horrible when people abuse that power,
It's very horrible. Absolutely.
Yeah, it really is. How are you holding up?
Well, let's see. I mean, from the time the new year started up until quarantine, I was on a diet. I lost 24 pounds, right? And
Yeah.
I have to keep going. Our gym is finally opening back up again next week, and I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Because I got to get the rest of this weight off and stuff. My next doctor's appointment's October. But I'm just podcasting like crazy, getting people that are very rare and hard to find. Yeah, and I'm getting recommendations. I mean, it's crazy. I'm very grateful for it.
Well, people need more. I hesitated about releasing the book, and, most people said, look, people need something to read right now. People are looking for new things, so I went ahead and released it. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, do you live in a place where you can at least go out and walk and stuff?
Yeah, but there's so many people walking around my neighborhood without masks on, and
I hear you. So that's such a shame. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I hike out in the woods, but even when I pass somebody on a trail, I cover my face, put a mask on.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can give people leeway, but on a narrow trail you can't. But I'm glad to see that here people are respecting it pretty well. I mean, obviously we have our idiots as well, people insisting it's all a fake, to which my response is always, what about the other countries? Are they faking this?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wait, do you know there are other countries?
I mean, I have my skepticism, and I talked about it on the show the other day and everything, but I'm just playing it safe,
Well, I've known too many people who have had this, and I've lost friends in Italy, and so I know this is not bullshit.
Oh.
If you know anybody who works in an emergency room, they will tell you what's going on.
Yeah. My condolences to your friends.
Very real is my point.
Yeah, and my condolences to your friends. That's awful.
Thank you. Yeah, I have. Oh, and it is. It's horrible. It's horrible, and they haven't even been able to have funerals.
Oh.
There were so many, people. They were just stacking the coffins in churches. I mean, it's just been horrible. So I do get a little pissed off when people tell me it's not real.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's way too many people, suffering from it. Anyway, this is a serious conversation.
So, tell me about twins, and of course, it has nothing to do with the Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito movie. Let's clarify that.
No, it is not. Although I did enjoy that movie very much, and Danny DeVito was my across the street neighbor.
Oh.
When I lived in Los Feliz, so he and Rhea.
Yeah.
So, it was a great fun when they came for Halloween, because, you'd think they were kids until you looked into their faces.
Yeah.
But always funny. Of course, always funny.
Yeah.
So, Twins is, it's actually the third in a series, although it's a standalone book. It's the third in the Invisible Ellen series. Invisible Ellen is about a woman who was raised, was heavily abused by her mother, a crack addict. Her mother burned her face. She's extremely overweight. She's been through a horrific time in the foster care system because no one wants her. And she's learned to live an invisible life. Well, one day, she is on the bus and she sees a blind girl who's really cheerful and great and accidentally touches her and speaks to her. And then when the girl leaves the bus, she sees someone following her. So this girl follows and saves her from being mugged. Now, that girl, the blind girl, is named Temerity. This book is about Temerity and her brother, Justice, who are the twins. They're the ones who take Ellen in and help her, introduce her to a life, a social life, and give her value as a human being. So this book is about them and their relationship, starting from basically when they were born. It goes back and forth because although Temerity is extremely independent, she's a violinist in the city orchestra, her brother's an anthropologist, but they've always relied on each other. It's just when you start out in life with a blind or a deaf or something twin, there's a certain amount of responsibility there. So at this point, he's fallen in love, wants to move on, but they're realizing what this is going to mean to their future, that they're going to have to be apart from each other to be able to grow. And, of course, she's terrified of having a relationship because she doesn't feel worthy to be a wife or a mother. So it's all about that. And along the way, they help out some other people because, that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where'd you get the idea for it?
I was thinking about the other day. Where I got the idea for the Ellen book was basically when I was working in acting class practicing characters, and I came to this extreme. I mean, it was obvious already that people treated me so much differently. If I was dressed up and I looked pretty and sexy, oh my God, men would fall over themselves to, can I get that for you? Can I just, was out, dressed up like I was fat and unattractive and blah. And I asked somebody the time, and the guy literally recoiled, And I thought, oh, I get it. He doesn't want to see me because I'm not, But ironically, that week, I used to do a lot of modeling when I first got to LA, to pay my rent, and I would always do the Macy's, Robinson's, whatever. I would do the lingerie ads. Right. And I was literally a full-page back cover of one of the newspapers of me in lingerie ad that week. And here was this guy looking at me, looking fat. I had on extra clothes, put zits on my face, and literally acting like, ugh, gross, get away from me. Like I hadn't even been there. And I realized that how much of our society is considered invisible, And I hadn't thought about the twins thing, but it occurred to me recently, this is really personal and maybe too much for your show, but I was actually pregnant with twins. I was pregnant with a boy and a girl. And they miscarried, one at 4 months and one at 5 months, and which is actually fairly common. And I never even thought about it until recently that I wondered if that wasn't in my mind somewhere. These people, they would have been had they been born. I never thought of it consciously, but looking back, I think, wow, I wonder if that wasn't like, an influence on me. That's weird.
Wow. Are you a Kurt Vonnegut fan?
I love Kurt Vonnegut, yeah.
Have you ever read his book Slapstick?
No.
Okay, get ready for this.
Okay, go.
In 1976, he wrote this book called Slapstick. It's about a couple who gives birth to two alien twins, one boy, one girl.
Right.
They get separated, and then when they get reunited, they're on a mission to save the world. And how this book came about was in the 50s, Kurt Vonnegut lost his twin sister to cancer, and her husband had died in a train accident a couple weeks before that, so he had to raise their children, and he spent about 18 years working on this book. And then once Slaughterhouse-Five and all the other books he wrote were big, he decided that it was time to finish this story and release it. Right. It ended up becoming his weakest seller, considered to be his absolute worst book. Even he considered it to be his worst book. Now it's considered an underrated classic, and the premise, the whole motivation is so poignant,
Right, it wasn't its time yet.
Exactly.
About it, I mean, we've seen this look, from artists and writers throughout the centuries. Van Gogh, for God's sake, people aren't appreciated. They aren't understood in their time, the story or their art or their vision. Wow. Yeah. Oh, I got to look it up. I'm getting it right now.
Yeah.
Not sick.
Yeah, and then in 1984, Jerry Lewis and Madeline Kahn made a movie out of it, and it wasn't very good. It was kind of silly. It's a comedy. But
they tried to turn it into a silly comedy, yeah.
Yeah, but their performances are the only thing that save it. Otherwise, it's a very bad movie.
I'm a gigantic fan of both of them. I mean, especially, Jerry Lewis is just,
Oh, yeah, he's a hero of mine.
If you can watch like The Bellboy and not laugh, there's something wrong with you.
Oh, God, The Bellboy's a classic. It's a masterpiece.
Oh, my God. And what's the other one that's so great? Anyway, there's so many. He's so good. But Madeline Kahn, brilliant also. Just brilliant. Love her.
Yeah, she died way too soon.
Oh, God, yes, I know. Yeah, what a talent. Yeah.
Does your husband proofread what you write?
No. He has a hard time keeping up because I rewrite so often, he'll read, I'll give him a finished first draft. Mm-hmm. But then by the time I'm ready, like right now, he's rereading Twins because the draft he read has 10,000 more words than the one that finally went to press. So he's always trying to keep up on what actually, But he's a huge supporter of my work and loves my writing and is always great about that. And then often I get his advice on many, many things. He's had a hell of a life. So use your resources.
Absolutely. Always use your resources. That's what I do.
Exactly. Yeah.
How long did it take for you to write the book?
I think the book generally takes about 6 months to write. But then when you get through the editing process and then going into the whole thing to publish, and in this book I published differently. I didn't go through a publisher because the publisher, I lost my editor at Putnam. So they just weren't very, very big on it, so I took it over. But I'd say this whole process is a minimum of a year. If you're working with a big publishing company and they put you on, it could be up to 2 years for that process, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I heard it takes sometimes 10 years to write a memoir.
Oh, well, God, yes. Yeah, well, there's more stuff keeps happening. No, I'm just kidding. You know, I finished my memoir 10 years ago, and I might want to update it.
Did you write one?
Huh?
Did you write one?
I haven't written a memoir, no. Too many people died, so I can't. No, I'm just kidding.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, I have written pieces of things in blogs, but I don't go off about it too much because some of the stuff that I've done has been with some pretty powerful people, some pretty wealthy people, some crazy stuff has gone on. And, you know, it's just not worth getting into all that. So I speak of it in an illusory sense, or, you know.
Yeah.
There isn't, you know, my is much more interesting than anybody else's. With things like memoirs, the way that I always like to put it is every book, especially autobiographies, should be written. But not all of them should be published.
Yeah, well, you could leave stuff out or change names occasionally.
Yeah, you could do that. I always love Hunter S. Thompson because he always used the real name, but he would change the physical description. Like he described his lawyer, he used his real name.
Yeah.
He called him a 300-pound Samoan. He was a fairly thin Hispanic guy. So that's how he crossed the legality of it. It was interesting. I never knew that. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to write the book first and then make a deal with the publisher so it doesn't get chopped up.
Right, exactly. Well, any good editor who buys your book, they're not there to change it. They're there to make it more reasonable. So like Nita Talib, who edited this book for me, who was the senior editor at Putnam, she's the one who bought the Invisible Ellen and Becoming Ellen. If I can say, well, I disagree with you, that's not what I meant, or blah, 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 blah. But the point is, she has the experience, and I need to listen to her. If it's not coming across the way I intended it to come across, then don't stand there and say, well, you're not getting it. You need to make it so they can't get it. You need to get your point, you know. And a good editor will do that. They don't never tell you change it, but they'll say, this is my suggestion, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it's hard to tell, you know. You run the work. It's hard to judge that.
Yeah. And what's the response been so far since it came out? Have you heard from anybody?
Well, I'm getting, you know, great response from the people who read the other book and really, you know, liked it and asked me for it, which is the main reason I wrote it, because I had so many people ask me for, you know, a third one in this series. But as far as sales and stuff, it's been slow so far, but it's just been not a time, like I said. I haven't done any promotion, any average, you know, nothing. It's been kind of crazy. So, so I'm just going to have to wait. You know, when things calm down a little, I'll do a bigger push and we'll see. This is not on the book, great reviews, you know, it's not a time for me to be going to bookstores and signing, you know, what am I going to do?
Yeah. I think about writing a sequel to this.
No, not to this one. I think this one might be the end of this. I mean, it's like some weird thing it suddenly went, you know, really popular, and somebody wanted me to write one, then I could absolutely do it. It's an emerging story. You know, it would continue. These characters could continue. But I've already written another book that's going out to publishers next week, so we'll see. It's called Blue, and it's based, I call it Blue, an American Tragedy. It's based on the survivors of a school shooting 15 years later.
Huh. That sounds like it'd be interesting.
What's happened to them, you know, because we forget. After it happens, you forget. People still have to live with it, you know. Once it's out in the news.
Have you tried to turn your books into a movie or series?
I actually had someone pick up an option on Invisible Ellen, and it was 2 women producers. But we had a very different idea about it. The way that it works is, you know, they have an option for it's either a year, 18 months, whatever it is. They really wanted to do it as a very girly television series, and I wasn't sure it kind of worked off the ground, which is, it's okay. Now it reverts to me, so that's good. It would make a wonderful movie, especially for, really good female leads. So, I should probably pursue that, but it's just a whole other thing. I kind of walked away from Hollywood and not really eager to jump back in that hole. Just me, Just when I've done things in the past, if I have written scripts, about it, basically people just stole the ideas.
Yeah.
It's near impossible,
Yeah.
Yeah. Just for your own reference, in case you ever go through this,
mm-hmm.
you need to get, say, William Morris or ICM, the biggest agencies, to read your script. You must sign paperwork saying that if they come out with something similar or exactly the same, you relinquish all rights.
Mm-hmm.
They won't read it until you sign that.
Yeah.
Now, it's crazy.
I plan to have a laundry list of contract stipulations when I get a deal on something, because...
Well, here's how it does. You have your request.
Yeah.
Your things you have to have. This much money, this much time. Then you have your some things you'd really like to have, pie in the sky. I'll take, 5 points off gross. Great. And then you have your unreasonable demands. I'm going to have a Learjet and 27 friends in attendance at all times. And so then they have somewhere to back off from.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 stages of dealing with Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. About 4 years ago, I was at a Barnes & Noble, and this guy was doing a signing for a book that he had and stuff. No one was there getting it, unfortunately. But me and my mom, we went over and talked to him and stuff, and he said that it was like the book was like a sequel to another book he had wrote, and they're being optioned by HBO to turn into a series or a TV movie or something. And he said, you know how Hollywood is, so let's see if it happens. I hope it did. I hope that guy got it.
Yeah, I hope it did too. But, a good way I heard put it was a woman had written a book about 4 women going on a bus tour across Italy. And when they picked up, her agent told her, now it could be 4 chimpanzees going to the moon. Just let it go, Yeah. You don't know what they're going to do with it,
You never know. No.
Yeah, exactly. Oh.
Yesterday, I talked to Graydon Clark.
Oh, Graydon! Hey, how's he doing?
He's doing great.
Good. He was always a gentleman, always nice.
Yeah, we talked about The Uninvited, and he said that you were very lovely, and that he wanted you for another movie, but you had just had a baby, and so you couldn't do it. And he said that you were just such a lovely person,
Oh, how nice, how nice. It was fun to work with him, yeah. He was cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then...
last question, because I am pulling up to the protest. I'll give you like a couple more minutes.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Park Overall back on the show to do a part 2 to see how what her take on this whole situation is, since she's in politics now. And I'm not really a political guy at all, but I wanted to hear her take on it.
No, that'll be really interesting. What is she doing in politics?
She's like part of the council out there in Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, good for her. Good for her. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting to get her take on some of this. And, oh my gosh. Well, I hope you have good luck with your you need to exercise at home. Don't use this as an excuse that you can't go to the zoo. All you have to do.
No, the gym, not the zoo.
Oh, the gym that just flipped out. That's what I always used to call it. We used to call it the petting zoo in L.A.
Yeah.
There's all the girls in there with their, little tight socks. We called it the petting zoo.
Right.
But, just put on some music and walk around. Just need to keep that heart rate not super high, but up a little, It also just makes you feel better. It just, it's really, if I don't take a walk or get some physical exercise, depression just gets me,
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Right? Am I right? Yeah. You have to do it. Even sometimes when I'm in a super, icky mood, I literally just march around like a stupid clown with a big, silly smile on my face, going, la, 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 because it will physically tell your body to cheer up and change. It helps.
Mm-hmm.
Laughter helps. Singing helps. All those things,
Oh, absolutely. Oh, and I wanted to remind you about to do the plug when you get the chance.
Oh, I will do that. I will do that today. Yeah. I'll do that in just a little bit, sweetie. And how did you want me to do it on Facebook? Or just tell me.
Yeah, Facebook Messenger with the microphone icon on your phone.
Got it. Look at me. I'm getting all tech savvy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let-
Okay, sweetie, I better go. It was so
Okay.
nice talking with you, and thank you so much for letting me talk about the book. It's really cool of you.
Oh, of course. And let me leave you with this joke. You know why men like to marry virgins?
No.
Because they can't stand criticism.
That's perfect. Oh, my God. All right, dude. Thanks for the laugh.
My pleasure.
I will send you your message later.
Okay.
Have a